We've got to pay attention to this. According to the United Nations report, the most common form of human trafficking, it's actually 79% of it, is actually for sexual exploitation. So 79%, I would say even more. The victims of sexual exploitation are predominantly women and girls, but guess what, folks? There's a lot of young boys involved in this. A lot that have had to be rescued. Timothy Ballard with Underground Railroad, what an exceptional human being. He saved so many children and has worked to help ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, as well as other nations, put people behind bars who have tried to take children for sexual exploitation. Surprisingly, though, according to this report, in 30% of the countries which provided information on the gender of traffickers, listen to this and pay attention to this, just for all the parents out there, because I'm going to get to a story that's very important here. Women make up the largest proportion of traffickers. Why? Because what they do is these traffickers use women to lure your young children. That's what they do, and to lure teenagers. Because one thing that the enemy, and I call them the enemy, these human traffickers, have found out is ways to work around our system of survival, right? So a lot of us will say, if you get lost, don't go to a man, go to a woman, right? Or, you could trust a woman more than a man. So these traffickers have figured that out. And what they are doing is they're having women go out there and lure young girls, young children, young women into a trap. We're going to be talking about what happened here in Texas. And by the way, how it happens all across the United States, and the failure of the police department to do the right thing when it was reported. And I'm going to go into that in a minute. The second most common form of human trafficking is forced labor. Now, we've seen that in the United States. I have talked about it, over and over and over again, whether that's on the Sean Hannity show, whether that's here on my podcast, whether it's on other Fox News programs, or whether it's on other people's podcasts. One of the big issues is forced labor too. So remember the story that I did? I don't know if you all remember that, but I'll refresh your memory on it. It was with Congressman Mike Garcia. I got to bring him back on the show soon to talk about any latest updates. But Congressman Mike Garcia and I broke a big story on Fox News regarding these marijuana grows in California, out there in Antelope Valley. And one of the things that we discovered was that it wasn't just Mexican drug cartels that were running these illegal grows. And it's not just about marijuana. These illegal grows were on people's private property. They were siphoning off all of the water from American citizens' private property to have these illegal marijuana grows that, by the way, the Los Angeles superintendent's office and everybody else knew about, and no one was doing a thing, not even allowing the sheriff of LA to bust it until we made it a big expose and showed it nationally. But these cartels were selling the marijuana illegally, undercutting the legal marijuana grows, which were required to have all kinds of regulations, and then sending that money back overseas to support wars, purchase of weapons, human trafficking, and, and God only knows what else. Right? And it wasn't just Mexican drug cartels. It was the Russians. It was the Armenians. These are Armenian syndicates, Chinese syndicates. Everybody was basically taking American land, making their own money off of it, off drug sales, and then shipping it overseas for nefarious purposes. And to make matters worse, and why I bring it up, is because it deals directly with human trafficking, with this United Nations report, right? Why? Because they brought people across the border, the southern border, and forced them into labor on these encampments in Antelope Valley. Some of them died out there, believe it or not. The police actually found bodies out there of people they couldn't even identify. They put them out on these grows to work as slaves in the United States of America in the year 2020. How is that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. The Biden administration made it possible. The Biden administration and the previous administrations. Trump, I'm going to give this to President Trump, was the only president that I know of in my coverage since going back to the Bush administration, through Obama, then through Trump, Now through Biden. President Trump was the only one that was putting the kibosh on this and trying to choke out the cartels.